I hope you're doing well. I hope you and your families are doing well. I hope you've been digesting all that we've been discussing for the past few months and thinking very seriously about how to put all of this into practice. And I'm very sure that today's activity, by the end of today, you'll have much more information, more tools for your toolbox, so that we can move ahead with advancing and developing and advocating for the cooperative business model right here in the territory to improve our economics, to improve our social well-being, to improve our community in general. As I was saying, we have some people who might be late, but we're going to move straight ahead. Today's discussion is, as we said in the email message, going to be a panel discussion. I'm very confident that by the end of it, you'll feel it was worth your time. But I want to remind all of us that this is Module 6, a part of a two-phase project funded by the Sustainable Agriculture Research and Education Program, Southern Region. Our other sponsors include the West Georgia Farmers Cooperative, the Federation of Southern Cooperative Land Assistance Fund, the Office of the Lieutenant Governor, specifically the Division of Trademark and Corporations, as well as the UVI's School of Agriculture's Cooperative Extension Service. And of course, you, our participants. Without you, there will be no program. So we thank all of our partners for making this happen. Today's activity is going to be one that I'm looking forward to, one that we have to be thankful for in the sense that our 4 panelists, and I hope the other 2 will be joining us, our 4 panelists have agreed to spend time with us away from their busy tasks, their farms, and share with us their experiences as cooperators of the most recent cooperative in the territory, meaning the VI Farmers Cooperative. I want to also make mention, but I don't want to call the wrong names. I may need some help from someone here. I want to mention to you that in case you did not know, previous to that cooperative, the VI Farmers Cooperative, there was another effort that did not quite get off the ground, but made a very serious attempt, had a lot of planning meetings to develop a cooperative. And Mr. Bevan Smith, just help me with the name again, please. I don't want to call the wrong name.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. How are you doing, Akil? Blessed.
Very good. Blessed to you too. Thanks.
Yes. From my recollection, and the one for sure was Mr. Peterson. Can't recall his first name at this minute. Siegel's father. It was Rupert Barnes. We also had Mr. Schulterbrandt, Rudy Schulterbrandt. Couple other folks that and how we really got together after Hurricane Hugo. I was working at the energy office at the time. We did what we call a farmers demonstration project. We had to call it demonstration in order to demonstrate putting solar panels, solar water pumping systems on various farms. Some of the farmers was Oscar Henry. We had Mr. Scow, and they got windmills. We had, again, the Peterson Farms, they got some mobile water pumps. We had Hugo Roll out of St. John, and even the Bodo, some of the members of the now Bodo Farmers in St. Thomas got systems. So again, in the fact that I coordinated everything, we did the measurements with how much water is needed for the plant, a lot of help from the Cooperative Extension Service at the time. I recall Randy Macedon from the Agriculture Experiment Station, Collingwood, Kawunda. They all helped with getting the data to size the systems properly. And because of that, I guess most of them were elder farmers, thought it would be good if I kind of chaired cooperative. So we went ahead, got the articles of incorporation going. I guess most of the time was spent building the cooperation together. We had a couple of meetings and, we would set tasks. But again, the elders were so busy focusing on their farming, they never really had chance to follow up on tasks. And this continued over a period of time until it just kind of dissolved. We finally got the stamp after, and I forwarded that stamp to Dr. Peterson, and that's all I can recall, really. But the farmers were farming. We didn't get to do much as a co-op. But then when I heard this happening, I said, well, let me listen in again and see what's going on. So this was around 1993 to 1994, if my memory serves me correct.
Mr. Smith, thank you so much for that. I asked you to speak because I'm not sure any of us in the group was aware of that. I was not aware myself until you mentioned that to me. And the name of the group was the St. Croix Farmers Cooperative Association, everybody. So thank you. And I actually thank all farmers for making the effort to organize themselves. One of the most important things that farmers can do. So as we move forward with the panel discussion, trying to stay on time, I'm going to ask our panelists. I think we have 2 with us. We're supposed to have 4. I'm not sure if the other 2 are here, but the 2 that are here, meaning Ms. Fielding and Ms. Carlos, I'm going to ask you first, please, to simply introduce yourselves to the audience. Let them know who you are, what you do. Ms. Carlos, you can start.
Good morning. I'm Sharon Carlos. I'm on St. Croix, and I am a full-time farmer, and I just got certified as a beekeeper.
Woo. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fielding.
Hi, I'm Dolores Fielding. I've been on St. Croix since, oh my gosh, the early 70s. I wasn't doing much farming then until I returned in 2005, and I bought some property. I said, oh, what am I going to do with all this? I had had a background of having grown up on a farm, actually, and having done gardening, but I got a little bit more serious, and with the help of the Department of Agriculture, the many courses that they offered, YouTube, the Farmers Co-op, I started doing some farming.
Thank you, Ms. Fielding. Thank you. So we're going to move ahead with the questions that I am hopeful will be very, very meaningful in terms of the responses for participants. And Ms. Carlos will ask you to begin answering. The first question that we have for you is, what need or what needs was the VI Farmers Cooperative established to address? And let us know as well, what was your reason or your reasons for joining the cooperative?
Okay, I don't exactly remember who first told me about the co-op because it was in the early stages of putting it together. But there was a friend of mine that was up in New York that was from St. John, and I called and I said, listen, they're making a co-op and they're going to help farmers do things. And I know that you like to grow something, so you should get in on it. So he says, okay, put my name down, and I'll be down. So I put his name down, I put my name down, I put the deposit down, and I started going to the meetings. He never showed up. And I'm listening to all the things they're talking because I was not a farmer. I just like to be around food, fresh food, and in the bush. So they were talking about how much they were going to help everybody. They help you plant, they'll give you a piece of land, they'll help you reap, they'll help you sell. And it was like, oh my goodness, I mean, who would turn that down? So I just jumped straight in and joined in everything. And then Dolores called me up and she says, listen, you ought to come down here on the Saturday and just help out a little bit. That's the day they're selling. And so I thought it was for one Saturday. It ended up being almost every Saturday. But it was taking so long for them to get the paperwork out and everything that and then when they said, oh, well, you can't grow trees other than maybe bananas. I said, well, I've got a piece of land of my own, so maybe I should have agriculture clear my land. And that's how I got involved in the co-op.
Appreciate that. And before we go to Ms. Fielding, just to let everyone know, you may have questions as well, but what we're going to do is I'm going to finish asking my questions, and then we'll have you ask yours. Ms. Fielding, same question.
As far as the needs, as a new farmer, an old gardener, but a new farmer in a lot of ways, I was just interested in that. And I just think the whole idea of cooperation is good in life anyway, where people get along. Some people have strengths, some people have weaknesses, and hopefully I would develop those. And so the co-op was an opportunity to develop this skill, even though I had a full-time job at first, but now I'm retired, and I was able to, start this. I like Sharon, I was one of the people with the original co-op who had her own land. There were people who had land that the co-op had over at Beeston Hill. So I had my own land, and I would, grow whatever I could. Every Saturday morning we'd be over there, and the need was the good need was that like now, sometimes on a Friday evening, I say, oh, in the old days, I would be preparing to take things to market. And now I'm not doing it because, the co-op does not exist. And I've kind of diminished in a lot of my farming. So to go to the regular market or go on the roadside or what have you is nil. So I, whatever farming I do is kind of by word of mouth, but I think that a co-op would be terrific, as far as I got to know Sharon for one thing, got to know a lot of really good people. And there were a lot of classes that were offered and practical things. So there was a need there and it was satisfied to a good degree.
Great. Thank you so much for the responses, both of you. And I'll begin the next question by asking Ms. Fielding first.
Okay.
The question is this. I am very sure based on what you just said, there was some very high points, some successes to speak about. So share with us, please. What would you say were some of those highlights and successes that the VI Farmers Cooperative experienced?
Well, the highlight, I think, was the fact that there was a market at Beeston Hill that we all many of us cooperated with. And we provided food for many people. Sometimes you get somebody from the East End who had never been west of Christiansted, and they were amazed to see what was available. And so that was a highlight, to be able to provide food and to get to know other people and to get to know different skills. So there were many highlights. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Carlos?
Well, I had a helper once my land was cleared and we started growing things. I had a helper and I actually had food to take to the market. I had pumpkins and greens and I'm not sure what else I had, but every week I had something to take. And so that was really rewarding for me. And then especially once Dolores said, come and help, it was a nice outing. I mean, markets aren't just for selling. I think markets are for not just entertainment, also. It's a place where you meet and greet. And so we spend the whole day there. Yeah, it was really great. And like I said, I became a farmer by default. And it was good. I learned a lot. You can see I'm still doing it, still trying.
I like what you said. It's not just for marketing. I note that another one of our panelists has joined us, Mr. Brown, Mr. Dale Brown to be exact. Mr. Brown, good morning. Thanks for being with us. Mr. Brown, can you hear us? Mr. Brown?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Good to have you with us. Thanks for joining.
Sorry for the lateness. Just coming out of the field.
I thought so. Thanks for taking time away from your busy farm work, okay?
Yes, sir.
And I'm sure the audience wouldn't mind me going back a little bit just to ask you the same questions we've asked the others. And my first question for you, Mr. Brown, is basically, what need or needs would you say the co-op was established to address? And what was your reason or reasons for being a member of that?
Okay, first of all, I was the founder of myself and my wife were the founders of, let me back up. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Morning again.
Good morning.
Sorry for the lateness. Now,
excused.
Thank you. Now, myself and my wife created a co-op and we brought others into it and we established a board and then members. We saw a significant need for a cooperative model in the Virgin Islands, and it's is the model that would have actually been a pivot towards development of our territory's agriculture. The need was tremendous because there were hardly any locally grown food. At that time, we were struggling with our cattle industry, where our cattle we weren't producing any milk at the time, and local food was not the apex of our local community. However, in order to get local food into to the community, it would have taken a cooperative model to produce a number of varieties of food that would have been available, ready and available to our community, and would have been able to build from there, which includes working together as a unit. Now, I've also seen the cooperative model as one of the strongest methods of pushing our agriculture forward, because it will require the membership working together and working with other partners to actually make it happen. Is that model where we all feed off of one another's resources, and would have been able to pool resources together so that we'll meet the needs on a regular basis. There was a lot to be done, and actually we did accomplish a lot in a short period of time. And I do believe a cooperative model can still work today in any community, as long as we have individuals that are willing to go forward and create that oneness that could actually put us forward.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brown. I appreciate that comment very, very much. I'll ask you the second question we asked everyone as well, which was, what would you say were some of those highlights, the successes of the co-op?
Oh man, there was
I know there were many, but don't take too long.
There was a lot.
I know. The ones that the top ones that you want the audience to know about.
Okay. Let me put it this way. The production that came out from a unit, from those 13 farmers that was stationed at the co-op establishment or facility, they were producing closely to, say, 1,500 pounds of food weekly. The sales were tremendous. I mean, tremendous. On a weekly basis, no, on a Saturday, just on a Saturday, I'm going to call a number that a lot of past members would probably blow their mind. We were doing at least $5,000 on a Saturday, on a market day, between the hours of 7 and 5. And that allowed us to actually pool our resources and have members receiving payment for the product on time. To include also the funding that we had, we began paying it back early. And just as well as working with NRCS to develop the infrastructure of the property. There was so much, because we had that planning and procedures in receiving, purchasing. We could have delivered. We had, at one time, we delivered something like 3,000 pounds to the school lunch program of watermelon. Oh man, it was mind-blowing to begin with. It was mind-blowing.
I'm sure there are a lot more, but already what you said is extremely encouraging, Mr. Brown. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing. I know there are at least 2 other persons in the group here who were members, so perhaps later on they'll have a chance to add to what's being said. My next question, and I'll begin with Ms. Carlos, is what would you say, and they can take all day, but please don't, what would you say was some of the greatest challenges faced by the VA Farmers Co-op? Top 1, 2, or 3.
The first one I would think was maybe because we had not done taxes with our what Schedule F or whatever it is, we didn't really, well, I didn't necessarily think of myself as a sole proprietor owner. And so I did not think in terms of that one vote I had was powerful. And so when things started going south, I didn't know how to fight for the co-op.
Okay.
That was the most disappointing thing, because I only knew of one co-op, and that was in Chicago. They had a grocery store called the Co-op, and all the purchases that their members bought at the end of the year, I guess they took their receipts and got a percentage of something back on it. So I knew the co-op idea was really good, because we were, like he said, we were selling lots of stuff. I mean, people were coming, and it was good. It was really, really good. But I think just not knowing that we actually owned the co-op, it was our baby. I just didn't know I could fight for it.
That's great. Thank you for that. Ms. Fielding?
Challenge. I think the fact that there were 13 farmers that were on the property itself, and then there were the rest of us. About how many of those were there, do you think, Dale? Well, I don't know. There were many of us. It just seemed that there was preference for the people who had property right there at Beeston Hill, to those of us who just brought in our, carload or truckload of stuff each time. Preference as far as land preparation and, some of the off-island conferences that people would go to, and there were certain things that we would hear about, but we were kind of like the outside children sort of thing. So I think that was one of the challenges that, and I realized that there were people who were in charge, and all of us could have contributed more, but it just seemed as though, well, they're leading and we'll kind of follow, rather than a real cooperative effort.
Okay. Thank you very much for that as well, Ms. Fielding. Mr. Brown?
The biggest challenge was actually working as a unit and having the board understand that the membership are the true owners of the cooperative. Even though there was significant amount of training as in what a cooperative is, I think the mindset among many of, especially the board members, was one time there seems to be on point, another time there was a self endorsement for individuals to veer to a different direction. And that actually eventually ran to the demise of the cooperative. So developing a cooperative, and if you understand that a cooperative is one of the strongest models of business there is. And if everyone is not on the same page on the growth, and there isn't a self-growth, but rather a collective growth, you find that the organization will move forward more fastly or quickly. If you look at the different forms of co-op that we benefit from, a lot of the juice companies, Minute Maid, Doritos, because all this stuff doesn't come from one place. It comes from a group of individuals which actually makes the product and provide the product, and then the product is made. a lot of stuff you see within the stores that are canned food and stuff like that, those were cooperatively placed together. So there has to be rules, regulations, standards, that oneness where individuals understand that you must comply. And we had a lot of that back and forth where individuals, even though they were trained, they don't think that they had to follow certain procedures. So that is very important in moving any organization forward. And once you have developed policies and standards of doing things, a way of doing things, it needs to be adhered.
So, Brown, thank you. Thank you, all of you, for responding to that question so well. The next question, and we'll begin with you, Mr. Brown. The question is, having the benefit of the experience that you have had with the VA Farmers Cooperative, what would you do differently were you to start a cooperative today?
A lot.
1, 2, or 3.
Okay.
Give us
one,
1, 2, or 3.
One, membership has to be screened. That's one. Number two, individuals, or if you're going to establish a board, those individuals should have a better mindset of what the cooperative is. That's two. Training is ultimate. Understand creating policies, procedures on the development of the organization is paramount. Individuals has to understand, especially those that are in leadership position, that it can't be all rest on one person. If you are a cooperative, you must have a core leadership or even a board that runs the business of the cooperative. Or you hire an executive officer to execute those things that the board requests to be done.
Okay.
If you're going to begin as a small cooperative, those individuals who are in leadership position has to understand that they cannot do everything. They will have to start small and grow with the development of the cooperative. The cooperative model is one that is exactly what it says it is to cooperate among each other. Finding solution and moving forward with it. Even though it also requires a lot of patience and not saying that you can go from 0 to 60, but rather pace yourself in the development of the organization. Because if we look at cooperatives such as the Federation, the Southern Federation of Cooperative, if you look at the Mississippi Cooperative, they've been around for quite a while, but they had their challenges. So you cannot equate yourself when you're starting to be as they are. You have to actually take your time and build your cooperative for the area that you're in, and actually create partners that are going to educate you on a regular basis. But definitely, unity is your biggest strength.
Mr. Brown, thank you for that mouthful. Appreciate it. Ms. Carlos, we'll go to you next. Same question.
Okay. Give me the question again.
Sure. Having the experience that you have had already, what would you do differently were you to start a cooperative today?
Okay, there was something I read or heard that certain positions in the co-op should not even be farmers. I don't remember whether it was the highest positions or whether it was the bookkeeping positions, but some of those positions should not be farmers because it would not be, I guess, no competition or something. But you might have to look that up. But what I would do different would be more of the training of ownership, the business part of it, even though the farmers normally are just bring the food in and it's going to get sold, but the business portion of it, and where some people are weak in knowing maybe how to get grants or how to do certain things, those who really want to learn those things should be offered that opportunity, because everybody might have an idea on something that works. And if you only leave the idea to one or two people, you know, they feel overwhelmed, and then they might even feel like it's their business and not your business. So, you know, it's more sticking to the business portion. And also, if you're really going to co-op and help, say how much help you're going to give each other, physical, as well as information.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wallace. Very, very much. Ms. Fielden, same question.
Well, I think that it's got to be a cooperative thing. And I think that these modules that you've presented are something that is a good training. And a lot of the things that Mr. Brown said, you've already gone through. But I think that people have to really know it and feel it and do it, rather than just, you know, okay, this is a cooperative. But so I think that it has to be really a matter of people really knowing. As far as screening, I'd be hesitant to do that, because I think that a lot of people can be encouraged to be farmers, to develop their skills. And so that would be something that I would want to do. I think that sometimes, like when Sharon mentioned about having a non-farmer, I think there are certain positions, maybe on the board, or maybe there should be an oversight sort of thing. Somebody could look at the cooperative from a distance and say, hey, this is where you're doing great. This is where you may need a little help. And maybe they don't have the vested interest that many of the farmers who are out in the field have, but they could have business, they could have legal, they could have other inputs. So I think that having, and sometimes I think that we talked about this, the fact that like in Puerto Rico, I think they have an oversight, the government has it. And sometimes that might be necessary, just that you have to be audited, you have to be looked at, because otherwise things can get out of hand. So I think that that sort of thing is necessary.
Okay, thank you, all of you. There's only one more question, and I have a sense that you kind of went here already, but if there's anything else you want to add, let me know. The question is this, final question. What recommendations or advice would you offer to the participants here today, or to anyone for that matter, starting a new cooperative? And I think, like I said, some of you already offered suggestions, but if you have anything else to add, let's do so right now. Mr. Brown?
To begin with, if you're going to start a cooperative, first decide what cooperative business model you want to establish, what you want the cooperative to be like. In other words, create that business model. And there are several different types of business models. One could be just be a producer cooperative, where you actually pool your resources together and you sell together. The other can be a cooperative model that has multiple facets or multiple divisions within it. What is it you're trying to achieve? How you want to go about achieving that particular or getting to that particular goal. It could be a cooperative that is just based on education. Starting a cooperative for sure requires a lot of education in order to have everyone on the same page. It doesn't matter what type of model it is, but education is the key towards developing a developing whatever model of cooperative you're going forward to. It could be a credit union cooperative. A credit union is a cooperative, matter of fact, and you can also springboard off of that to other things. So determine what model of cooperative you want to go forward with, and then do your homework, your research, and how you're going to go about doing it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brown. We do appreciate that. We do appreciate it very much. Ms. Carlos, the same question. Any other advice you want to share?
He really covered almost everything there is to cover. There's I guess we would have to recognize that there's always going to be some selfish motive as human beings we have. And so if we could get those cards on the table and say, what is it you really want to get out of this? And people be upfront enough to say, I don't really want to do that much work, but I would give you, I'll give you the products, just so people know ahead of time what their strengths and weaknesses are and what they're willing to do.
Thank you so much. Ms. Fielding?
Well, I think a lot of what has been said has come up in these modules. So anybody who's been following them can see that the guidelines have been, we've talked about other kinds of co-ops, and we've talked about what kind of emphasis we may want to have. And those are all important. So to repeat that at this point is not so important, I think, as just getting started, having a cooperative effort that everybody's going to work according to their abilities and their interests, and everybody hopefully will benefit too. So I think that's kind of a democratic cooperative thing that we want to do. And I think the modules have stated this. So anybody who's been listening would know that.
Great. Well, thank you all for the responses, and thanks for being so informative, but also so succinct with your answers, because we're exactly on time where we want to be. I appreciate that. At this point in the schedule on the agenda, we're going to open the floor to questions that others may have to ask or comments others may want to make from the audience in general. So feel free, raise your hand, or Ms. Martin, Benita. Benita, it's your time.
Unmute yourself, Benita.
Yeah.
I'm having problems with my computer. We keep going.
Okay, we can hear you right now.
Yeah, Eric can see us, Dr. P. I just let him in.
Oh, I was trying to find him. Thank you. Ms. Martin. Okay, keep working on your issue. Anyone else wants to raise a hand or offer a comment or ask a question? Really?
Yes, pleasant good morning again.
Yes, sir. Brother Dean.
Yes, Brother Dale made a comment in terms of being screened as a member. Ms. Dolores thought that wasn't necessary. I do agree, and I'd like for him to expound on the necessity for screening. Sharon kind of alluded to a part of it where people would speak out in advance their willing participation. But I'd like for Brother Dale to expound on his mention of screening.
And Mr. Brown, before you respond, I just want to, I was going to do this at the beginning, but Eric just joined us, so let me do it now. You met Mr. Eric Simpson the last time around, we introduced him, but I just want to let you know he's here with us again, and he's the cooperative developer for the West Georgia Farmers Cooperative. You'll hear more from him later on. Thanks for joining, Eric.
Can I say something before I cut off again?
Go ahead.
Yes? Okay. I was a member of the cooperative As a St. Thomas member, I assisted in sales of the co-op produce. And if I needed to make purchase of produce that was being produced by the cooperative, as a member, I received a discount. I found it a very good system for both of us. I will assist in finding someone that was interested in purchasing produce on a wholesale basis, pass the information on, working with Mr. Hamilton on making sure that the shipments were coming back and forth in a consistent manner. And I found it very rewarding. I joined knowing that I lived in St. Thomas and could not do the actual field work, but a co-op is always multi-levels, and that's my part that I played. And I pray that it can occur again at another level, but producer co-op is needed within the Virgin Islands. Thank you again.
Thank you for your contribution, Ms. Martin, and I do agree with you fully as far as one of our needs here in the territory. I know 2 hands are up, but there was a question posed to Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown, you may go ahead.
Okay, the question of screening. That is necessary if you want to stay on point. The cooperative has built into its bylaws associate members. So you had members and associate members. Members were individuals who were that were farmers and individuals who would benefit most from the cooperative. Associate members were individuals who want to assist in its development, that can give technical assistance, to include volunteering their time. Now, if you're going forward in a cooperative and you don't have a screening process, but you just accept every and anyone, and you don't know the person's intent, at least you're going to have an issue, because that individual can run amok. In other words, they can begin to create ideas that we aren't ready for. And members can actually veer to those opinions when it doesn't meet the direction of the cooperative. In other words, you are on a part of production, and the development of the production is to get the items out. But then you're talking about mass producing for export. That's 2 different things. You're just starting. So therefore you want to stay on point. And as you build your resources, as you build your capacity, then you can begin to look elsewhere for a different market. So you can have a number of ideas coming in that can actually frustrate individuals, because individuals are looking for a big bill out, when billing out requires time. It requires patience. It requires being able to educate yourself where you are. And you don't want to actually begin hanging your hat where you can't reach it. So if you have an individual who voice, oh, we can get here and we can get there within 2 weeks, so we can get here within 4 weeks, and you hear that kind of information coming in from an individual who apply for membership, then you need to halt the brakes, deny the application if that's necessary, if you need to, so that you can wean things out that are going to cause cause a dismay on your way and in doing what you're doing.
Okay, thank you for your response, Mr. Brown, and for the question, Mr. Leonard. I see the hand of Ms. Wallace. Sister Anna, please proceed.
Good morning, all. I was just saying that I really appreciated the comments and the information from, former members and the reflections. So I really wanted to tell them thank you very much, because that does help us going forward. And those were a lot of the things that they addressed were some of the concerns. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I do agree with you.
Where do you get that little hand to raise? I don't see it on my screen.
I think it's in reaction somewhere. Maybe? Yeah, reactions, yes. Reactions, yes. Anyone else with a question or comment?
Question. I'm looking for my hand.
My hand is up.
I'm just not on the
somebody
right
else's
screen.
hand is up.
I don't
Look
see
down
that.
at the bottom on the right where it has
Mr.
more,
Smith,
just
Mr.
click
Smith.
on that.
Just raise
I'm not
hand.
Bevan
seeing a
only.
hand. Someone's hand is up?
Bevan,
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Smith, go ahead. Whatever, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yes, again, good morning again. I have a question for the general leadership and members of the previous cooperative. It was mentioned that on a given market day, up to 1,500 pounds of produce were made available and up to maybe 5,000 in sales were achievable. My question is, how were the dynamics between crop farmers and animal husbandry farmers as it relates to profit sharing and other obligations that were held in common?
Okay, I can answer that. You want to know the difference between crop farmers and farmers that are in livestock?
Yeah. In the 1,500 pounds, was that both meat and crops?
Yes, it
And then
was both
was
meat
the
and crop.
profit distributed based on that?
Yes, it was both meat and crop, because what we have done is like we'll take like a goat and a sheep, or two goat or two sheep every weekend. We have it slaughtered, and then we had it processed, and those were processed in different cuts of meats. So you may have like about 100 pounds of meat available, but then the majority of it would have been crop. The meats itself can actually come out to be like about $500-600, even though it's only 100 pounds of meat. Because the cost of livestock or the cuts of meats, and that's one of the things that we were actually trying to train everyone on, is how to prepare meats and not just cut for stew. But then we had lamb chops, legs, shoulders, shoulder squares, you name it. Now, the crop that would produce, sometimes it came in from out of the field, from the co-op, and from members outside the co-op. We have also gone as far as if there's an individual who doesn't want to be a member of the co-op, but they have an item that they want to present, or for us to purchase from them. As long as the pricing is good, then we will accept it and we'll market it that way. Another thing that we did was actually create a pricing structure. And that pricing structure allowed us to actually receive things and market them at retail or at wholesale. So we had that opportunity, and this is where we were going. Even though most of the knowledge was coming from myself, I was making it available to everyone. And it's not something that could have been done in a short period of time, but it's something that has to be done over a period of time as different committees are developed in order to manage certain aspects of the cooperative. If that answers your question.
Yeah, most of it, but what's kind of puzzling me still is that, let's give the example of the meat. Two farmers, put up a goat each. All is not sold. How do you determine whose meat was actually sold and what portion of it? That's kind of puzzling me.
Here's what we did. In order to mitigate that, the farmer was paid for the entire animal. So now the product became a cooperative owned product, but the farmer was already compensated for the product. So he doesn't have to look back, or we don't have to give him back anything. In the process, what we did, we make sure we had freezers, coolers, and we were still using items that were part of the Department of Agriculture, because they were a part of what's going on as a partner in moving forward. So we were able to at least freeze meat that was not sold, and it could have been sold during the week or the following week. Now, once we receive the product from the farmer, then the farmer is given a receipt of the invoice of what has been received, and that become a product of the cooperative. So what we will do is that item would have been sold on a weekday or on a market day, and at the end of the month, the farmer is compensated for everything that he brought forth during that particular month. Spoilage was actually part of a day-to-day or weekly operation. Items that were not sold was part of it. So pricing or sales compensate for all of this, because there's no way that you're going to have a market with that many items and you're not going to have spoilage, but it's a matter of how you do it. And one of the ways that we did it with the education that we received from Veggies, which is one of the consultants that we had from a grant that came here, including Organic Valley. They provide us a list of information, and pricing your items was paramount. We also received from the department, from the University of the Virgin Islands, a enterprise budget. And that has to do with every crop that we produce or similar crops to those that was provided. So we know in order for a farmer to produce a specific crop, let's say watermelon, that watermelon production within an acreage, a quarter acre, and we could have broken it down to a quarter acre. We know exactly per pound that production is going to produce and how many items coming out of that crop or that plot. If the farmer said he's doing an acre of watermelons, then we know exactly how much watermelons to expect from him. We weren't expecting the utopian production, but we were expecting the least amount of production, because there was the fact of weather, pests, and theft. So we calculate all of that into it. So let's say the farmer would have produced watermelons that were 75 cents per pound as the enterprise budget, maybe $1 per pound according to the enterprise budget. Then that farmer, from the farmer to the cooperative, there was a divisible of 50% on that production. So if you take $1 and you divide it by 50 cents or 50%, you're gonna get $2. So that gives the farmer an idea that now he has received, we have sold the product and he should receive $2 for his item. Now, if we're going to resell or retail that product, then it's another division of 50% on the $2. So therefore, the item will have been $3 going out to the public. And I'm just using numbers because that may not be the exact number at this time for watermelons. And then for wholesale, we had a divisible of 85%. Today, at Sager Farm, we still use that knowledge in order to mitigate the difference between wholesale, retail, a restaurant, or a particular chef who patronize. So therefore, there is always a discount going forward. But we try to veer mostly to the retail. But we have a combination of retail, wholesale that's going on, because you can't expect to what you sell wholesale to a supermarket to actually give the same cost to a restaurant who is actually not going to the supermarket to buy the item. So there's a flexibility there in order to keep that particular customer coming back.
Mr. Brown,
Thank
thank you
you.
for that explanation. And I hope that we all benefited from listening to that.
Well, again, Mr. Smith
Mhm.
see that as answering his question, then I am pleased with it.
Yeah, very
Very
thorough,
good.
very thorough. Thank you.
Very good. Ms. Ambassador Jasmine, Ms. Rowe, please go ahead.
Oh, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
Or are you all still in morning?
It is morning for us, but go right ahead.
I wanted to ask Mr. Brown. We're in Ethiopia and we have a large community of about 1,500 of us here. Where presently the regiments are doing like farming on different people's land, you know, and members of the community land, which are quite large lands. And you've also got the women's and some of the brethren that does crafts, tailoring, and other things within the community, as well as we deal with you know, finance and coffee. How do you think that a cooperative could work for us here? I mean, I can see where it's needed because you know the local indigenous farmer, for instance, they only seem to want to farm when the rainy season is here. That means that from October to April, everywhere is dry. And the only food that are stored is like food stuff that people in housing. So other products that are needed for nutrition. So in the case of storing food for our community and also being able to on the agricultural sector and other industries that we have, like the crafts and dressmaking and clothes and stuff. How do you think something can work for us in Ethiopia? Or is it possible?
Okay, I'm gonna try to answer as best as I can, because you've been going in and out, so I couldn't hear everything that you were saying. But correct me. You want to know how best to store your crops?
No, we
Okay.
want to know how best to grow our crops
Okay.
and export, you know, export our crops to the international diaspora. So setting up an agricultural cooperative and also a business cooperative that would consist of clothes and crafts.
Okay. Okay. What I can suggest to you is that both are workable. Okay. You can do it even both as a collective under one umbrella, or you can do it separately. But I do suggest to you, though, in order for you to get to the point of exportation, that you begin to organize those farmers who wants to plant specific crops and create that that enterprise around that specific crop. Okay, say it's sweet potatoes. Find how many farmers in the organization want to grow sweet potatoes. What you may have that everybody want to grow sweet potatoes at that time. And that might not be most possible, because you want to have a continuous production of sweet potatoes. So you number a specific amount of farmers. You may want to number a specific amount of farmers that you want to get a specific yield from. It may be 10, 20, 30 farmers at any given time that can produce a specific amount of sweet potatoes. Then prior to you getting into the ground and making that production, you have to actually begin to look at your market, where your market lies, whether it's in Ethiopia, outside Ethiopia, or in the very region that you are. Now, how those farmers are going to meet the needs for the production, you have to look at that. What are they going to need? Find out what their needs are. And if they do have the resources, and how can the cooperative mitigate for them in getting to where the farmer needs to be and the cooperative needs to be at the same time in order to have that end product. And you create that same process throughout the cooperative, whether it's clothing, food, anything that you're going to do. You must have a process to get to where you are, or create that model where you start from zero to production. And then you have your post-harvest handling, which is getting the crop out of the ground, and storage. I use sweet potatoes because it doesn't require any significant amount of cooling, but rather a storehouse that you may need. Because if you start producing over 100,000 pounds of sweet potatoes, you need to have that going out in a very short time, and not necessarily holding on to it for a specific purpose, or just having it stored. So your market has to be ready to receive that.
So, Brown, thank you for that response. And of course, the question asked has a lot to do with a lot of feasibility and market studies, like you said, have to be done site-specific to the situation in Ethiopia. Ms. Carlos was the next person I was going to call on, but I think she's otherwise occupied.
I'm back.
Okay, Ms. Carlos?
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
You're welcome.
My issue with screening is that if you had screened me, I would not be a farmer today because I knew nothing. I was only going on the promise that I would get help planting, I would get help selling, I would get help with everything. So maybe you might turn down some more me's if you screen too hard.
Well, let me say this. It was your interest to work, and your interest to actually make it happen. That is what was above everything else, because you started slow, correct?
Yeah.
And at one time you weren't producing anything, correct?
Right.
And when you made that choice, you explored, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay, so therefore,
but if you had screened me at the beginning and said, if you had screened,
and
yeah.
we knew that.
Oh.
Okay? We knew that there were a lot of people who wanted to be farmers, but what we did was actually look at what motivated you to even come to the co-op. Okay, and that motivation we saw that propelled you, because today, aren't you a farmer?
Yeah, because of you.
So therefore, that was one of that was the goal that we were looking for, and you fulfilled it. Another was Akil. Akil was not planting, but Akil was a big help. He participated in every single area of the cooperative. And Mr. Andrews actually made himself available. And there were individuals like that. Okay. And he was going towards planting, but he did not say he wanted any land to do anything. He said he just wanted to be able to learn everything that was there. And he did.
Okay. Well, I still thank you today for being there and letting me be there.
I love it. I love it.
I'm proud of you.
So you are indeed a success of the VI Farmers Cooperative, Ms. Carlos. Okay,
Yeah.
we're at 11:15 right now. And let me know, please, before we move to the next phase, if there's anyone else in the audience who has a question or comment to ask. No one else. Okay. Let me say this. And before Mr. Brown, Ms. Carlos, and Ms. Phelan leave, I want to take a group photo here with everybody. So don't leave us yet. But when we move to the next phase, you will be available to stay or to leave at that point in time. But before you do leave and before we take the picture, I want to say thanks to each of you for not just being here today, but for just maintaining that cooperative spirit. I know each of you, and I've spoken to you individually and collectively. And the fact that you are here today is testament of what you've said to me personally about your support in seeing the cooperative business model succeed here in the Virgin Islands. So I want to thank you for your contributions. When we spoke about the VI Farmers Cooperative, for me, I have lots of fond memories. For me, I loved the idea, first of all, of seeing farmers pool their resources, come together and organize. I recall the cooperative coming to the Cooperative Extension Service, like you said, Mr. Brown, asking for information which you put to use. The budgets that you asked about, for example. I remember the cooperative going about doing feasibility studies, all the things that should have been done and done in the proper and the right way. So those are fun memories for me. I also recall the cooperative being organized enough to submit and present a proposal to ask for funding to get their co-op off the ground. That, in my opinion, was something unprecedented. Then the cooperative moved on to secure a lease agreement for 60 acres of land. I continue to feel proud about that. Then not only did you get the land, you developed the infrastructure, the fencing, the pipelines, the water tanks, the storage, the greenhouses, all of those things we don't want to lose sight of because they were very, very, in my opinion, important incremental steps in seeing the farmers, VI Farmers Cooperative grow from nothing to something. And then came the weekly farmers market that everybody was looking forward to. I remember you were even organizing to have a second weekly farmers market. And so I just want to say to all of you that the groundwork that you laid, the contribution that you've made is golden. It's something that I think all of us are going to benefit from going ahead. The contributions you made even today in terms of sharing your experience, I see that as being useful in the tools of all of us here in our toolboxes in terms of moving ahead on a better footing. I like the fact that all of us are here celebrating that contribution and still feeling the co-op spirit that we all want to see. Now, Mr. Morton, did you have something to say? Did you raise your hand a few seconds ago?
I was just adding and clapping to support and re-emphasize what you said.
Yes.
But that is the way I felt too.
Thank you very much, Dale. An excellent model, an excellent example that we wanted to see continue and set the example for all of us. But Mr. Brown said something very important, and all of you actually said the same thing, that it can work, and we want to see it work. And I think we have some tools here that we are going to be putting to use to make it happen. But not only do we have tools, we have connections. We have connections. We have a network of cooperatives across the US mainland that are going to be working with us. As we move into the next phase, we'll have Eric say a few words. But before we do that, a picture, but Mr. Andrews, did you say, oh, yes, Mr. Andrews, go ahead.
Yes, hello?
We can hear you.
Yeah. And before we leave this section, I really would like to know though, my question is really posed to yourself, Dr. Peterson, but
Your volume is a little bit low. Your volume is a little bit low. Speak up. Your volume was a little bit low.
Yeah. I think I know it. Yes, before we leave, I'd like to know though, and this question is more directly to you, Dr. Peterson, but the panelists could answer it. You, in closing, you did mention the successes and yes, there's a lot of them. But you also mentioned some stuff that like the infrastructure, the fencing. I witnessed it. The running a pipe. It was all subdivided and stuff. Tanks were even laid down for each subdivision and stuff like that. What position do we have in terms of trying to recover some of those, something as important as that's the actual infrastructure there?
What position would I have in covering?
Trying to recover that before, as part of our moving forward towards another core. Because, in other words, do we have to start from ground
zero?
I really feel, as you mentioned, there's some serious success and it's laid there on that property. I know, I presume it's sold. I don't know the details, but what I'm getting at is that I think that ground there is an ideal ground for, to recover. Even if it's just to use as maybe a part of a market or something like that.
Okay, I think I understand your question now. Well, definitely speaking, we're not starting over in terms of experience. Definitely not. I think you were asking about a specific location, right? The location, right?
Well, right, and the infrastructure that's
on the location.
Invested.
Well, I really don't know to date. Maybe Mr. Brown knows. I don't know at this particular point in time if the owner is still the same owner, if the owner is interested in having another group go on the site. I don't know the answer to that question.
I can answer the question. The property presently is owned by United Corporation.
Sure.
And the United Corporation is part of Plaza East. And they at one point released the property to a farmer, and they're asking the farmer to move right now. But no, I don't think they are interested in having the property leased for farming for any long period of time. So you'll have to check with the owners if that's something they want to do. But for sure, the infrastructure is still there.
Wow. That was a serious investment. But
yes,
thank you for the response, Mr. Brown. And the question, Mr. Andrews. Okay. So I'm thanking you again for taking the time to be with us, all of you as panelists. And we're going to move to the next phase, after which you may leave. But before you do, Adara or Vanessa or both of you, let's have one of those group chats that we usually do before we have our guests leave.
So we need to put the cameras on, please. If you have the ability to put a camera on, do so. And try and get yourself in the best cheese position that you possibly can.
I'd like to say to Brother Dave Brown, all his efforts are duplicatable today, and your time and talent hasn't been wasted. It's now to develop it to the next level.
Well said, Mr. Leonard. And that goes for all of the members of the VA Farmers Cooperative.
Dale, why are you in two spots?
That's how powerful Dale is.
I am in pieces.
I know your brain is in pieces, but I wasn't talking about that portion. I was talking about.
It has to be physical too.
Okay. Juliet, can you get your camera on this time, sweetie?
I'm trying.
I'm trying to.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'll just start.
Having camera trouble.
Smile, people. Just see those pearly whites if you want to.
I'm trying. Don't know what to do.
Vanessa, 1 second. Let me see if I can send them a message to start. Who else?
So they're trying according to Rosa. Oh, Rosa got her.
I just got it.
Juliet is trying to get hers on. I think Juliet has been having issues for a while with her technology upgrades.
Okay. You may have to just move ahead, Vanessa.
Yeah, I am. I've been taking pictures, Dr. P. I am.
Have been? You didn't tell us any. You didn't tell us anything.
I like candid. Forgive me. Okay, so smile, everyone. Say cheese.
Cheese.
Say co-op.
Okay, that's it.
Oh, I have a question. I have a input. I think that land we had for the farmers co-op, I think I saw in the paper where those people are asking to do a zone change. So
okay,
there might be something coming up with that.
A zone change to what, Sharon? Do you know?
It was multiple use or something.
Hopefully it's not a gas station because we do not need any.
Okay.
Well,
So Vanessa, are you finished, Vanessa?
Yeah, I did the thumbs up already. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, good. Thank you, everybody. And Mr. Brown, Ms. Carlos, Ms. Fielding, feel free to stay with us if you wish. Otherwise, you may leave. What we're going to be doing right now, for your information, is moving into our preparation for phase 2, which is the mentorship phase. We're going to have our farmers, or participants, I should say. We're going to have our participants go into a discussion right now as to what kind of groups they may choose to go into in terms of a working co-op group. Like Mr. Brown said earlier, we can speak about producer type, we can speak about a supply type, it's up to us. But after those groups are formalized, we are going to have Mr. Eric Simpson, who's with us today, take the lead on connecting those groups with mentors for the next 12 months to share with them how to go from A to wherever they want to go. So that's what's going to happen right now. Okay. So again, you may stay or you may leave. It's up to all of you. But before you leave, thank you, thank you, thank you.
The evaluation, we need the evaluations.
No, we're gonna do the evaluation when we finish with this phase.
So
when I
those
said
leaving
leave,
don't need to do the evaluation then?
Yeah, they do.
They're the panelists.
They still do.
Okay. I tell you what. Let's take heed to that and let's do it now. Okay. Let's do the panelists. Let's do the poll now because our panelists as well may benefit from that. And then we'll go into preparing for phase 2. So look out for the poll in a few moments, everybody. Please take a few minutes and respond to the poll.
Thank you, Dara.
Thank you, Dara.
Welcome.
I guess you know I was having a challenge, right?
Yes.
Good. That's
Those
what
who were I unco-hosted you so that you can take
right. That's what cooperation is all about.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, when it comes to questions like number 4 and 5, you can't choose more than one answer. Well, I thought you could. You're supposed to. I'm sorry.
It's not allowing me to
Yeah,
do it.
I'm sorry. That was not the intent, but I'm sorry. Only one answer you can choose for questions 4 and 5.
You can choose more than one for 5.
Okay. So number 4 was not corrected. I'm sorry. Now let us know when we're through.
Mm-hmm. Halfway there.
Okay.
%75 there.
Thank you.
Is there anyone that's having a challenge with the poll otherwise? Okay. Okay, we're only missing 4 responses.
Okay.
It seems to be stable at 16 out of 20.
So those 4
Could
will
those
probably not
who are still working on it let us know, just so that we can verify if we need to keep waiting or if we actually need to go with what we have.
Do you need some assistance with something, Mr. Andrews? Okay.
You're muted, Mr. Andrews.
Ms. Andrews, you're muted. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're still on 16 of 20, so.
It's not moving? Okay.
Would
maybe,
for those who are doing it, there should be 4 who are either doing it or having trouble. Could you all speak up so we know what's happening? And then if anything, we'll have to get it to you a different way.
Right.
Okay, so 16 of 19. So 1 just went down.
Don't put it like that, Dara.
Say that again?
1 went down? Okay,
yeah,
okay.
in terms of there were 20 at first.
I know, I'm
19.
joking. I'm joking with you, Dara.
So there may be 3 people.
Mm-hmm.
Let me know when what you would like to do.
Yeah, let us know if you really are having a challenge. We'll send it to you otherwise, or let us know if you want another minute or 2, please.
So for
hello. Good morning.
Morning, Raliba.
Hey, this Liba, yeah. I on the phone, so I can't do the survey. You know what I mean?
That's
yeah,
true.
yeah.
That's
We
true.
know. We will send it to you otherwise.
That's true.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay. Good. Thanks for saying that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how does that affect?
I wasn't counting him.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But there's still.
Okay. So no one is speaking up. So let me move ahead.
Okay.
And if you do need some help, let us know by some means. Okay. So let me move ahead. We're in the very last section here of today's activity. I want to explain to you what's going to happen for the next 12 months and then come back to the beginning and move forward again. So what's going to happen again, Mr. Brown, Ms. Carlos, Ms. Phelan, if you wish, you may stay. If you wish, you may leave. What's going to happen for the next 12 months, according to the grant project that we're working on right now, is that we're going to have a mentorship phase commencing next month, April. According to the grant proposal that we have, the project we're working on, the project will expire in April of next year. Will we get an extension on that? Maybe yes, but we can't plan for that right now. So we're going to plan to expire in, well, for the project to expire in April of next year as of right now, okay? So what's going to happen is that we are going to ask of you to consider what kind of cooperative you are seriously thinking of forming or being a part of. We're going to limit those to maybe 3 to 5 at the most, and that's based on our communication with Eric, who's here with us right now, in terms of something being manageable. We are trying to create a manageable situation so that between now and April next year, we have some type of outcome and results that we're looking for. So there's not going to be a situation where 3 months from now, a group pops up and say, yeah, come and work with us. No, we're going to start that process right now so that it's organized and we know whom we have to work with on a regular basis. So once we have those groups in place today, we're going to have a point person from each of the groups. Mr. Eric Simpson is going to work with that point person and connect him or her with the mentor as needs be. We're going to expect for those groups to work together as you see fit. For example, you get together with a mentor and you're going to meet next week, the week after, that's up to you. Please do so. However, once a month, we're going to be meeting with everybody to check on progress, to see how things are going and moving forward. I suggest and I recommend to each group that you plan for the next 12 months. In other words, ask yourself, where do we want to be by April of next year? Have some type of projection. And based on that, on a monthly basis with your mentor or mentors, you work toward achieving that goal of wherever you want to be by April of next year.
Question.
Yes, go ahead.
Is there some type of list where each person can say, if there is a co-op, this is what I need, or say it first, this is what I need. Is there a co-op that fits into my need or my desire?
Okay. I think I understand your question. By the time we leave here today, we're going to know exactly what type of co-op groups we're speaking about. So for example, if we decide among us, a group of us wants to begin a producer type co-op, and that is your interest, you can feel free to join and be a part of that working group. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I think
good.
so.
Okay, good. And we'll see in a little while if I did, but I think I did. I hope I did. So when we meet next month, everybody, during that meeting as well, we're going to be issuing you the certificates because by that time we know who all were a part of all of the 6 modules that we just completed, okay? So we'll have that as a part of it. We are going to also establish a monthly schedule, which we haven't done as yet, and let you know what that is. So you will know ahead of time what date every month we are planning to meet with the overall group meeting. Am I clear?
Okay.
Okay, good. So before we move into the phase now of discussing among us what type of groups we want to form, and don't feel compelled to stay in the working groups that you were in before for the purpose of exercises. You may do so if you choose that that's what's most appropriate, or if you choose not to, feel free. We're starting afresh right now. We're developing some core working cooperative groups that are going to be mentored for 12 months. Okay. Mr. Simpson, Eric, did I miss anything that we discussed?
I don't think you did, Doc. Good job. I think you covered everything.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And as we said, Eric is the cooperative developer for the West Georgia Farmers Cooperative. We, meaning a group of about 8 or 10 of us, spent 2 solid weeks with him in Georgia and Alabama, actually. And I can tell you so many stories about how they treated us so well. I really can. And Eric is so well connected with many other cooperative enterprises and persons who can deliver the kind of subject matter expertise and oversight that we're asking for right now. So thank you very much, Eric, for being on board with us right now. I'll save the stories for another time when we have time, okay? All right. So at this point in time, what kind of groups among you, the participants, are you interested in forming? Remember, we spoke about producer type co-ops, we spoke about supply type co-ops, we spoke about worker type co-ops, etc. So that's completely up to you, and we want to address your needs.
Producer value added.
Okay. Thank you, Dean, for speaking up. One of the things we discussed in our meeting with Eric is that value added could very well be the same producer co-op. So we're gonna look at them as one and the same for right now, okay?
What if I want to do both the agriculture sector, the producer, and also the you know, getting our community together with their crafts and stuff like that?
Okay. So between both of you, I'm hearing a producer type co-op as one. So Dean, we're gonna fit and nest that value added aspect into that producer co-op, okay? Dean.
Yes, I'm good.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Good. So one of the groups we're gonna form today is the producer type co-op, the working group that is, and those who want to be a part of that. Do we hear about any other groups? The supply type co-op, in case you forgot what that was about, is if you're interested, for example, in forming a group simply for the purpose of, in bulk, purchasing your needs and distributing those among the membership. That's what we call a supply type co-op.
Oh, it fit well with the supermarket type.
Oh, and we as well discussed the grocery or the I forgot to mention that. The grocery or the consumer type co-op is another one that we are prepared to support.
I would be interested in that one.
The consumer co-op.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
I got a quick question.
Great. I want.
Someone with a question?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Akil, we'll hear from you first, then Dr. Koram. Akil, go ahead.
Yeah, when you speak of producer co-op, right?
Yes.
Is it like given that there would be marketing? I just heard supermarket, right, and supplier type co-op.
Right.
But then somehow, I don't know, I can't envision producer co-op without a marketing.
Without a market?
Yeah, component, you know. So I just need to get clarified on that. If the two of them naturally go with one another.
They do go together. That's a very good point. I'm gonna let Eric chime in right now. Eric, did you hear the question?
Let me hear it again. I was kind of I was hearing a bunch of people, so let me hear it one more time.
If I made Akil, and correct me if I make any mistakes here. What Mr. Andrews mentioned is that he has a difficult time envisioning a producer co-op without having a marketing aspect to it. In other words, should a producer
is it difficult?
No, a producer co-op, a marketing co-op, he wanted to know, could they not be the same co-op? In other words, a producer co-op must have a marketing component to it, is what he said.
That's exactly how our co-op is structured. It just all depends on the resources, the human resources, and the mission and objective. Whatever your co-op agree to do, you can make the effort to do it. Whether it will be successful or not, whether it will be feasible or not, will depend on how committed you all are to it and the resources and the capacity you have to deliver both of those services, production and marketing. But yeah, it can be done because our co-op is exactly that, a producer and a marketing co-op.
Well, let me try and point out another way. If you have a producer co-op, right? How, when you produce, how would it be like wholesale? Then how does that work then? How would a producer co-op operate without the marketing data?
Without the market, Akil, I'm not sure if you heard what he said, but I mean the specifics we can go into in the working groups. But Akil, what was said by Eric is that his co-op does exactly what you are concerned about. In other words, it produces, but it also markets. There's no issue, there's no conflict, there's no problem. Okay?
Okay,
So that's a,
right.
Dr. Coram, no problem. Dr. Coram, I think you were asking something or saying something.
I was just saying that no, my interest is, of course, is in the grocer co-op. So I'm happy to hear that.
Good.
There are others interested as well.
Thank you very much, Dr. Coram. And so what I have so far in my list is the producer type co-op / marketing, okay? I'm also hearing the consumer type co-op, which is basically the grocery co-op. Do we have any other groups that want to come together?
So I have a question. No one seems to be, and I know there's several farmers on here. Eric, none of these groups will be limited to not being able to be a supply co-op, right? If they wanted to purchase things in bulk to supply for themselves, because they formulated under, say, a producer co-op, that does not limit them from not being able to buy supplies for themselves or for others, correct?
Not at all, quite the contrary. The more producers that you have, of course, the more leverage that you can have the scale. So yeah, it's actually kind of a built-in benefit. If you've got a lot of producers, then of course you can just go together and bulk purchase. So yeah, you don't necessarily have to. Supply is more of a function more than a form. So sure.
Answer the question, Vanessa, and the response, Eric. Thanks very much. Okay, I'm not hearing any other comment right now. So I guess the next question I'm asking is who would like to be a part of each of these working groups, these two working groups, the producer type co-op / marketing, and then the consumer, the grocery type co-op. What we need to do right now is to divide ourselves into those groups. And what would be the best way to do that? Let me see. Dara, what would be the best way? What do you think?
Repeat the question again,
in terms of letting us know who wants to be in which of the two groups that we just discussed. I mean, people can speak up.
How do I divide myself?
We haven't worked on that as yet, Mr. Leonard.
They can type something into the chat in terms of which group.
Okay, good. So I thought of that, and I hope nobody has a challenge with the chat, but let's begin that way.
Those who cannot can then say it out loud and someone else can put it in the chat.
Okay, great. So let's begin that way to have something on record that we can always go back, rely on, and double check if we need to. Let's begin by asking of you to use the chat feature and let us know using the chat feature which of these two groups you would like to be associated with. And we'll go from there to appointing a point person who will be in touch with Eric, who will connect that person with the mentor. So use the chat group feature, please. If anyone has a problem, a challenge, let us know and we'll get you information otherwise.
Yeah, just say it out, just speak it out if you cannot type in the chat, and then we will type it into the chat.
Well,
the chat.
But the chat would be the first preference, though, that you type it in.
Yes, of course it would.
Hello.
Brother Leva, yes.
Yeah, I'll go in the consumer. So consumer.
Consumer? Okay, good.
Okay, I'm typing that in.
Okay, good. Is there anyone else that cannot use the chat feature? And we don't want to miss anyone who's interested. So please either speak up or chat up.
Yes, Juliet, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, we can.
I'd like to be in the producer group.
Very good. We got you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Oh, producer group, Benita Martin.
Thank you. We have that. Mhm. Is there anyone yet to respond? Would like to respond? Okay. Okay, I'm assuming everyone has responded by now, so we'll
Did
move on
Mr.
to the.
Andrews respond? Sorry.
Yes. He did. I don't have it written down though. Ms. Andrews, you said,
Yeah, I'm
you're there,
after
right?
Sharon Carlos, after Sharon Carlos, and then after me is Wallace Francis.
Okay, very good.
It seems like you may have
You see
responded
it?
to someone privately because it's not in the general group.
I don't see it either. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it looked like it went to Dale Martin, yes, from me.
Just say it out, Aki.
Yeah. Yes, no, producer.
Producer?
Yeah. Mm.
Okay, got it. Got it. Okay. So moving on to the next step, is there anyone else who has not responded who would like to respond? Hopefully not. Moving on to the next step now. It doesn't matter who, but I'm going to go ahead and select a name from each of the two groups and share those names with Mr. Simpson. From the consumer/grocery co-op group, I'm going to share the contact information for Mr. Liba Olani. Okay.
Hold on a second, Dr. P. There's Marissa Williams. Does she want to be in anything? And I don't have anything for Bevan either.
Marissa said producer. It's in the chat.
Yeah, I saw her say something. Yes, she did.
I think I skipped it. Okay.
And I
Bevan?
don't see from Bevan.
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
No problem. Thanks for checking. So from the consumer group, I am going to share the contact information for Mr. Olani with Eric. So Mr. Olani will be responsible for getting to the rest of the group the information and organizing that meeting with the mentor. So what we have to do now is get to Mr. Olani in return all the other persons in the group. So that's on our part to do. Okay? From the producer type co-op group, I'm going to select Mr. Andrews. Mr. Andrews, I'm going to give your contact information to Mr. Simpson. He's going to contact you and Mr. Eric Simpson.
Good, that's it.
Okay. He's going to connect you with the mentor, and then from there you move on to work with your group and have your meetings as you see fit. All right. I'm going to get to you the names and contacts for the other members of your group who have the same interest. All right. By email.
So that means I will be leading the group. That's what you're saying?
I didn't hear you.
That means I leading the group?
Well, it's no. Put it this way: when the group meets, you can decide all of the above. For right now, you're what we call the point of contact.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Got you. Yeah.
Okay, good. So you're the point of contact for now until you have your group meeting and you decide among yourselves what you would like to do in terms of organization. So once again, the task is going to be, the effort is going to be organizing yourselves, asking yourselves in 12 months from now, April of next year, where do we want to be in moving this particular type of cooperative forward, and letting the mentor know in return what kind of assistance you need to get there. Okay? And he or she or both will guide you as necessary. So Eric, please, if you have anything else you want to share, you want to say about the activity today or what's coming up, or make a comment about the other co-ops that you plan to make mention of, just to get people motivated, the fact that they are going to be connected with good people and experienced people, feel free.
Sure. Yes. And thanks for that pitch, and thanks for this opportunity. As far as what it will look like, there's 3 subject matter experts, 2 for sure, that I have in mind that will be working with you. And just to share with you what some of their background and expertise is. One is a livestock producer cooperative expert. The other 2 are retail consumer type cooperatives, subject matter experts, managers on the manager, general manager level. One of those 2 is also a cooperatives development expert. You know, they have, their job is they develop co-ops within the state of Georgia. And so you will get people that are working from a micro perspective, as far as working within the arena of livestock farming, agriculture, and also consumer retail management, cooperative ownership, because they're all cooperative members. All of these are cooperative members as well. So they also understand the dynamics of working within a group in a cooperative. And so you will get their expertise and whatever other experts or information that they're connected to. So you should have enough information if your group is fully committed and committed to learning, will have the expertise that you need. And of course, and these people will be accessible to you. We will maybe set some, I guess, some standing dates, perhaps, just whatever works with you. Also, when I make my initial communication with the point people, we'll set some of those dates, schedules, rules, or parameters as to how we're going to communicate and how you and your mentors are going to communicate via phone, via Zoom, via email, once a month, whatever the case may be. So that's all I have to say for right now. And I'll let you all, the point people that I work with, kind of let me know what you need as far as how you want this to look.
Thank you so much, Eric. Thank you so much. I'm feeling really, really good about where we are right now, what we've done, what we've shared. I'm feeling really good about the tools that all of us have to work with, but I'm feeling even better about the connections we have, the partnerships we've had to make this happen and to move the co-op spirit ahead here in the territory. Ms. Forbes, Vanessa, do you want to add anything?
No, Dr. P. I'm good.
No? Okay.
Good job.
Do any of our participants have any questions, any comments? Because we're about to close out. I want to make sure that by the time you leave, you're clear about what we are going to be doing for the next 12 months. And if you have any questions, respond to them. Okay, I guess we have been very clear, but we also have been very much on time. So I appreciate everybody's cooperation in keeping things moving ahead today. But I also appreciate your cooperative spirit. I want to thank all of our partners, as I always do, meaning the Federation of Southern Cooperatives Land Assistance Fund. I want to thank the West Georgia Farmers Cooperative, Mr. Eric Simpson, to be exact today, particular today, the Office of the Lieutenant Governor of the U.S. Virgin Islands, specifically the Division of Trademarks and Corporations. I want to thank as well the team at the USVI School of Agriculture's Cooperative Extension Service, and our communications team in the persons of Ms. Dara Cooper, Ms. Leandra Kent, Mr. Ray J. Joseph, Mr. Matthias Clavier, for all their support in setting this up and setting up everything that we need to get done. Without them, this couldn't happen. Ms. Vanessa Forbes, our program assistant for the Sustainable Ag program, thank you always for your support. All of our other colleagues within the Extension Service, Mr. Morton, thanks for always being present and your support. I want to thank all of the panelists who joined us today for your time, for your love, for your support, and for just sticking to it in terms of keeping this cooperative spirit alive and wanting to see it happen. I was very moved, I was very enlightened by your comments today, and I'm sure I say the same. I speak on behalf of all the participants. I'm sure they felt the same way. I don't think I forgot anyone. Did I? Help me, did I forget anybody? And of course, all of you, the participants, couldn't do this without you. So did I forget anyone? Help me out. I always need help when it comes to that. I did well? Okay. Well, if I did not forget anyone today, again, thank all of you for being on task with us, being on call with us today. You will be hearing from us. The point of contacts will be hearing from us. And then all of you in your groups will be hearing from your point of contact and organizing the meetings going ahead. I look forward to some real concrete outcomes out of these meetings. And I look forward to the cooperative business enterprise in the territory blossoming. Thank you, everybody, and have a good day.